Yeah, and we're kind of back. It's getting a little more warm, at least in Germany. And this is the coffee chat after KubeCon, which I attended in person. I don't know of you, but I heard at least that you haven't been attending or you don't know anything. So it might be me talking all the time during this next hour. But yeah, where to start with KubeCon? I think there were quite a lot of things. Let me quickly share my screen. This one. And like what I started of, the thing is, I didn't watch any talks myself because I kept talking with everyone at the GitLab booth and basically everywhere else, and decided that that CNCF might be uploading the videos in a bit, which actually happened like 2 weeks after the.
Yeah, they're mostly really fast. It's quite cool.
It's like 2 weeks and it was there. And since I was a little away with COVID, I could like catch up now. The thing is, I have no idea why this is not loading. The other good thing is that everyone else was like writing the summaries. So I was like, that's super interesting and to follow up. And for my own newsletter, which is over here, I've also linked some resources which could be interesting to read. So the Cloud Native Nordics created a video. Edith Young wrote a blog post. I think Daniel, this is a Twitter thread actually. There was a summary from Litmus Chaos, and our product managers at GitLab also did a deep dive into projects, announcements, and how this like needs to be adjusted for the product roadmap. The other things which like have been announced or which was super interesting to learn more about was eBPF. So I attended the 0-day event on Monday, at least in the morning, and got an introduction into Cilium, eBPF, and how this like continues to grow in the ecosystem. And there was quite some interest in the room. And I haven't yet checked. I haven't really checked out Cilium. I don't know if Niklas or Michael, maybe you have.
We are running it in production.
Oh, okay, interesting. So I know where my go-to expert is in the future.
No. So we're running now only for I think 2 weeks in production. So not so
Okay.
long, but we changed on AWS on network driver.
Interesting. Yeah, I really want to try it out. So the thing is, it can be used for security and observability in your Kubernetes cluster. And from what I gathered from the keynote from Thomas Graf,
yeah,
the founder of Isolavent, the company behind Cilium, or not company behind, the company sponsoring development resources and the projects. They open source Tetragon, which is a new Cilium component for real-time eBPF observability.
Yeah, this is more like a Falco. You analyze kernel events. And so, for example, your application access a file. I'm allowed to access a file or not. This is more tracing of events for file access, because I was also checking for the observability, but this can be more for that you probably need to buy the Isovalent thing.
Okay. Yeah, so I think he kind of teased it in the keynote a little bit, but then stayed for like 10 minutes at the slide. And it sounded like super interesting to really try it out. I think it should also combine Hubble, which is there for observability, and some other methods in a more like combined way, I would say.
We can spontaneously probably can also switch, because I have also a test cluster, if you want to, where we have like Cilium up and running, and I can also show how Hubble looks like. But Tetragon, I was also checking that this is more like for really like Velcro alternative where you want to check when you go down a little bit. I think they explain it also somewhere.
Demo application, we could actually deploy it right now.
And they have cool examples because they use Star Wars examples. No, I really like it. So the Starfighter and the Death Star.
I do have a Kubernetes cluster running just for this session. Should we use Helm or maybe Tetragon is installed? Use the following command. Maybe it runs in Civo. I don't know. But let me. Well, this
is additional source, so you don't need to run Cilium for that.
I think I need to install. This is
the Helm repository.
It's not okay. So it's like yeah. Potentially, let's just try it out. So I'm not sharing anything. No. I will share my entire screen and switch to my terminal over here. And the lines over here just, this was just some Kubernetes, Kubernetes deployment. So let's make this a little more big. And we do have, can I copy this entirely? Maybe.
Can you show the pods and nodes? So kubectl pods -A, so to see all pods about all namespaces, so that we see what's currently running in the cluster.
It's only the Kubernetes stack is running and nothing else.
And we are on Civo. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it works on Civo, but this would be just trying it out now.
Yeah. And we have a monitoring namespace. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, my Kubernetes configuration is not secure.
Okay, now you can probably open okay, you have to wait. So there's now a daemon set deployed on all the nodes. It still lives in the kube system namespace. So when you type kubectl-pods-n kube system, so then you get only the pods from kube.
Namespace. Okay.
No. Now you see that's the Tetragon pods.
Okay.
Do they have also a CLI? So because in Cilium, I have also a CLI to use it for checking network connectivity and all the cool stuff.
I have no idea. This is the first time I'm reading the documentation, actually.
Okay.
By default, filtered by example, we use the demo from Cilium to generate events. Okay. So I am deploying something, and before I do that, I want to see it.
Okay.
Death Star.
We have a service, a deployment, and 2 pods.
Pod. Okay, and there is netperf. Okay.
That makes sense. So the Death Star is a deployment because you can, when you kill the Death Star, it will be automatically recreated, and the TIE Fighter is only a one-time unit. Because the TIE Fighter is only a pod.
Yeah, there's like a replica. Yeah, okay. Yeah, let's try that. This is my copy-paste magic. Okay. Potentially, I didn't check the namespace.
No. It's lives now in the current namespace. So kubectl pods, I'm currently not now in which namespace you are.
Okay. And what can I do? JSON raw events. Export str. Ooh. Okay, this is really raw. Can I get some? Yeah, okay. Interesting. But I don't really understand what I'm doing now. Tetragon CLI. Now it's getting more interesting. Tetragon CLI.
There's already a brew installation, a brew formula for this.
Only there's a brew installation because I don't really want to. Maybe there is not, but let's just try it. Releases. Yeah, probably not.
No, it depends. So the community, from the brew community could use that.
And the thing is, brew has gotten quite slow because it always does auto update and cleanup and other things. And this takes quite some time.
I have an alias for that. I have my command, it's called boo-boo. And it's do brew update outdated and then brew up clean. So then all the stuff goes a little bit faster. Okay, but I think he doesn't found the Tetragon CLI. Sadly.
For some reason, it wanted my Git password. Searching. Yeah, okay. Is this safe to copy paste? Maybe. Maybe it doesn't even. Okay. Nothing copy paste. Okay. Let's see if that works. Oh, 2 times copy paste. Interesting.
Do you have an click on the link on the CLI underneath?
I probably tries to download Linux.
No, you need to have the Darwin, so you're on Mac. But you are.
I copied.
You have an
twice.
intro, right? Not the. So then copy the first binary. I think it's flashing because your Go env is not set up correctly.
So probably I just want to download this one.
Yes. Copy the link.
Because this is not an M1 yet.
wget, yeah. And then you go. And now you can untar it.
XZF.
And there's the binary, the 70 megabytes, so you can change mode it. Nice.
Okay. Now, what can we do with that?
We can now pass the events. From that we saw the raw output and use Tetragon to observe it.
Okay. This is the missing bit. It's not, basically it's not JQ, but rather, oops, cannot type today. Tetragon observe. See what it does. It's beautiful.
And now you see in each pod which command will be executed. So which process is started and terminated.
So if I do a deployment now somewhere, this should come up here, right?
Yeah, it would like see the pod and also say, okay, we're calling now the following binary. For example, in the TIE fighter, we're starting the net server.
Okay, so if I pull out this thing, maybe, yes, a new tab. And this is the wrong directory. Oh, it's not work. It's this one, observability. So this is my repository for the KubeCon demo. And there is a deployment in here. Oops.
And for example, to we can do this, or we joining into an existing pod and then starting a new process. So kubectl exit into, for example, the TIE fighter and entering who am I. So then you would see that the TIE fighter will coming up and say here a process was triggered.
So potentially opening up another one. Is it ready? No, the terminal is not ready yet.
No, it's ready.
I don't need to kubectl
exit -it. RTI and then TIE wing or X-wing, TIE fighter, and the container use -- and then /bin bash. So then it will go to the default container and then starting the bash process there. And you see now it changed here in your left terminal, the process and the default TIE fighter, the bin bash process was started.
Who am I? No, nice.
And you see now the process started and it exited with 0.
Oh, that's really nice. So what is that? It's Alpine. APK update. Oh, hello. This is
APK add no cache and then curl, for example, to fetch the latest curl.
Yeah, I was about to do that actually. I just kept thinking, I know some companies who kind of want to have this kind of shell sys logging, but only logging the commands and the exit code. And previously we have been doing that with logs and some collectors and agents and things like that. So when you have been like a bad actor, you just enabled the debug log on the server and then everything else was broken.
Yeah.
But this is now a different way, which makes it much more convenient to collect data.
But I also can recommend the people to watch the Everyone Can Contribute session where we did into Falco, because there we did the same with POP. Falco is doing this, but it's not doing on eBPF base, it's doing like on another kernel space level. But
no, I think Falco is also based on eBPF.
I'm not quite sure there. So for that,
but we can like figure that out. The thing is, I'm thinking of like using that as a demo or using that like as a way to kind of, yeah, it's observability in that specific sense, but you really need to know what to do with the data. But I also wanted to deploy the this is kind of a C++ application which leaks memory, but only when DNS is broken. So this do something. It should actually run. Oh yeah, it's running this application. And if I logs this one. Okay. it basically logs that it got some answers, and which I didn't install it yet. But if you're using Chaos Mesh for chaos engineering, you can inject DNS errors. So this kind of errors out, and then the application is leaking memory. And this was my KubeCon talk demo as well, which brought me to, let me see. The cluster is not fully installed yet. We need to kind of cheat with the slides now, but is this the
Can
slide deck?
Can we easily stop the core DNS and then we are done?
Potentially, yes, but we also need to look into Prometheus into the memory chart. Let me see if I can quickly find that. We do have, is it 1990? No, I want to just copy this line. Hello. Too many windows actually. This should be the, oh no, I have it linked somewhere over the rainbow. Or not? Did I not update it? GraphQL. No, I didn't.
Okay. I checked in the meantime. I checked also the Tetragon documentation further. So and you can set up different policies. And for example, we could also set up now a file policy, and then we can see if any application is opening a file or like the network trace. This can be also done by policy.
Okay. I potentially one could inject chaos engineering to see that the graph is going up. I don't know if how would I be stopping core DNS? Just the ports?
You can type kubectl, open my second terminal. Go kubectl scale -- replicas 0. Then deploy /core DNS.
This?
Yeah, and the namespace now. Core DNS together without the dash. So
I believe you have done this quite often.
No. But I needed to debug a lot of. Yeah, cool. And now the pods will be terminated, but your replica set is not gone, and now it will not resolve anything anymore in the whole cluster.
I'm not sure if the application is leaking memory then.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it does. It's not logging anything. Later, yeah. it runs into a timeout later. So the thing is, and this is like a jump into, oh, it's even easier to provoke that rather than installing chaos engineering. The thing I did is
yeah, I'm a professional chaos engineer, so you can hire me. You can break clusters easily.
Yeah, the funny thing is I created a workshop demo for Kubernetes monitoring a while ago where I was just killing the potato head pods and then provoked something. This also worked quite nicely with the black box exporter and probing. But the thing is, I'm looking at this one, and I was lucky to create the screenshot 2 hours before the demo because the Wi-Fi was pretty much broken in my session. And kubectl get pods took 10 seconds. So I was like, ooh. And I kind of made a joke in the session of saying, we are pretending the demo worked and it looks like this. And the idea was to kind of show that you later on define alerting, incident management, and as a developer, you can immediately see that there is a potential regression in the code. The code itself is rather, it's not easy, but it's kind of an endless loop which tries DNS resolving in C++ because I was quite fast doing so. And it also reminded me of a performance problem I had in the past myself, which burned me out. But in the end, it's like it tries to resolve the host name. You can pass it via environment variables. So it's either you can specify different domains as environment variables in the kube in the deployment itself. And the idea is that when there is an error, you handle the error somewhere and then continue. And if it works, you print something. And in order to provoke the memory leak, I'm creating a 1 megabyte buffer, which is freed or deleted in here. But since it's not handled in here, this is a programming mistake and just leaks memory. And this worked pretty nicely.
Because it will never be freed, right? So
yeah,
because we are continuing here the loop, so the while will be again, we request a new 1 megabyte of memory, and that's the reason.
Yeah, and the fix would be to just copy the delete before the continue over here. It's like sometimes you're returning early, or you're just continuing a breaking out of a loop or something else, and this has the potential to leak memory. I think you might be detecting that with dynamic application security testing and other things, but I found it like an interesting demo to fail DNS and see what happens. And in this case, memory is just going up, and I can help myself as a developer to find such situations much more easily rather than having it in production and debugging at the customer under pressure and things like that. So this is kind of the storyline as well with making mistakes as a developer, as a DevOps engineer, as an SRE, and other things. I also shared my DNSSec.at stories. So it was quite nice talking, or it was really nice talking in front of real persons again. And since I was confident in talking, I also did the live demo, even if it didn't work at its full scale, but still was interesting. And it was Friday afternoon, the second last slot, 4 p.m. And there were like 500 people in the room, which I didn't expect. So I was pretty overwhelmed.
Yeah, and the example is really awesome because it's quite simple. And I think everyone can understand it without having like real C++ experience or like
hopefully
programming.
The thing is, it's relatively self-contained. It's open source, so everyone can just use it. If you don't want to like copy the source code, the Docker file is already has already created a container in the Git repository. So the actual deployment for the demo is just copying the YAML and adjusting it for your likings. So I added 2 for o11y.love, 1 for cncf.io, and 1 for gitlab.com. Yeah, and I would love for more folks to just try it out or maybe adopt it for own tests, because it shows what is like possible with observability tooling, with also how chaos engineering works and where it does not work, for example. And I might be using it actually for my second talk, which I created, like the Niklas, you inspired me for that, confidence with chaos for your Kubernetes observability. Thinking of you have everything deployed, you have the alerting configured, but what happens when there is a real production incident? Are the alerts working? Are the dashboards working, and so on? So I'm currently working on that as well, which I will be talking about at Kubernetes Community Days Berlin in 2 weeks' time.
Oh, nice.
And I'm hoping to share some ideas, but also spark discussion, because I know I don't know everything. And I'm looking forward to, find new ways to monitor, observe Kubernetes events and other things. And Tetragon looks promising.
Yeah, we can also take a deeper look in Tetragon. So when you go back to the examples.
Oh, no,
Yeah, and you scroll a little bit down.
Ah, we have more examples.
This is process execution, what we did already.
We can kind of, we cannot filter for the X-Wing port. Okay.
Yeah, then you get less events. Let's make simple.
You spoiled me already with that. Okay.
Yeah, okay. I cheated a little bit, so I read it.
And this is like JQ.
Yeah, JQ filter.
Yeah, this is what I did before that because I'm a heavy user of JQ. I really love the tool. Even though the syntax is not so easy to learn, but once you get used to it, I think it's a breeze to use.
Yeah, then when you are real experienced, then you use YQ to pass not JSON files, to pass YAMLs.
Yeah, I've seen that, and I've been watching the GPN 20, which is the Gulasch Programmiernacht in Germany. There were some awesome talks. They were in German, so it's rough to translate. But I found some. Where is my newsletter? Is it this one? No. No. this is copyright Michael Eigner, the DevOps twins. This was also a funny story at KubeCon. And just to go off topic, the story was that I met Brandon for the first time at KubeCon on Sunday, and we figured we are kind of the same size. One is like tall, and the other one is also tall in a different direction. And we said that to each other, so no harm intended. And when driving to the beach for dinner in a taxi, we were like, "Do you know Twins, the movie, like Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito?" Yeah, Austria and the US. Okay, that matches. And we kind of moved on with the insider joke. And when we met John on Tuesday, standing in front of the DevOps wall at the GitLab booth, which was, do we have the tweet somewhere? Probably.
In your blog post.
Thanks. Already forgot that I wrote a blog post yesterday. Yet I've been recovering. I needed 2 weeks to really get up to speed and write a blog post and remember everything. So yeah, at first glance, we post in front of the DevOps wall, which was kind of funny because the comments were, do all team members in DevRel have the same shoes? And I was like, where is that? Matching shoes. And I was like, yeah, we actually every one of us brought the GitLab shoes with us. They were a gift for last year's IPO for team members. Yeah, and my colleagues also have made a challenge for everyone who finds someone who's taller than me. But yeah, in the end, I don't know why Twitter isn't rendering. Probably I've embedded too many tweets. There is a tweet. Yeah, and Brandon posted like the movie and our try to do the movie, and then I got a WhatsApp DM from Mr. Michael Eigner. I was like, "Can I do that? Can I use Photoshop, whatever?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't care. Just do it. Can I post it?" Yeah, of course you can post that. Yeah, this was really funny. This amused our team at KubeCon, and I think many folks as well. And there was a discussion going on. And I think I've quote tweeted that already. And when the layover in Frankfurt happened on Saturday, when I was flying back, I was a little bored. So I registered a domain and hacked some HTML, which I'm not good at. So the page looks like it is right now. But yeah, this is like registered, and let's see what we do with it. Okay, this was quite some extension to Tetragon. No, I was Tetragon. This is the newsletter I was looking at. What was I looking at? Tetragon. Probably lost ground. The thing is, there have been more talks at eBPF Day as well, which I think dive more into usage of eBPF. I've seen a presentation from IKEA using that for their private cloud they're creating, was super interesting. And Liz Rice also published a book or a report book around what is eBPF, just as a learning resource. And I think there is much more going on and much more coming.
Yeah, the interesting thought is about eBPF. So in terms of, do we need service meshes anymore then? In terms of when we can get all the insights from the packets and we can reroute them, so then we probably don't need a link ID or
yeah, that's true. I think I've read a blog post, and did I link it here? Or did I not link it here? This one.
because right now you need to have like sidecars. So a bit.
Yeah, and I think this was touched in the talk, but since I'm not super deep into service meshes, I couldn't make so much out of it. I think this blog post goes into this direction. eBPF versus the service mesh. Too much text. Probably will need to read this async, but it's linked. It will be linked in the block draft.
Yeah.
To be honest, I have no idea where we found it. It was in my bookmark tabs. I read it somewhere. And potentially for eBPF Day, this is the playlist. There are more talks in that direction. I didn't watch eBPF on Windows yet. The one talk which was super interesting, but unfortunately the slides didn't work so well. So it's more a story and then figuring out what it means. eBPF programs are pretty much written in C, and the idea was to make it more memory safe and use the advantages of Rust. So Dave Tucker from Red Hat maintains a Rust library, which can be used for eBPF, and Kemal is working at Polar Signals with Parker for the profiling agent, and they showed how they are like planning to rewrite the eBPF programs in Rust. This was really interesting.
Well, there's also a new tool outcoming, or was outcoming. It's for Bumblebee, because the B, like eBPF, is also a B mostly as Loro.
This was super interesting, and I've linked it in the newsletter. It's developed by Solo.io, I think, and I met a Defrel from Solo.io as well at KubeCon. This provides the possibility to distribute your eBPF programs as container image, which I haven't fully understood yet, but it looks interesting. The thing is, there is obviously too much C code. Yeah, but I think it has gotten much more approachable with wrappers, with CLIs, with tooling, with like blog posts explaining a use case, and you don't need to be a C developer expert. And you can just try things out. Similar to Tetragon. Which, is there anything else to learn?
Yeah, now you should adopt a new eBPF policy and check when files are open or files are closed. And there's also like for checking network connections underneath. So you need, the trick is so that you apply this type of policy.
But I need to clone the repository first. This is not told in this.
Well, you don't need to. You go up.
I can. Oh, yeah, I can. Yeah, now I understand it. I need to duplicate the thing. It's we potentially should send a pull request. This is here, these examples. I really like instructions telling me what to do and not knowing what to do. This was FD something.
This right allow.
This is right.
FD prefix.
This right.
The last one. Under your cursor.
This one. And now I need to. I want to have the raw thing. This one. Oops. Okay. Maybe I should fix my DNS meanwhile.
Yeah, then you use the same command and put on the replicas to do it.
Yeah, the chaos mesh DNS experiment allows you to not only like error out of DNS, but also inject random responses, which is much more interesting if your application does sort of or uses DNS for inventory or for auto discovery and other things. I haven't like found a good use case yet for like writing my own code or writing my own code program, but this could also like be fun of saying, hey, how does the application behave when it gets different responses?
So you want to write your own DNS server?
Yeah, kind of. Or I want to, for example, I have a discovery domain somewhere and I'm kind of depending on that it always resolves to a certain subnet or to a certain IP address range, and then see if that is even like evaluated or it just takes what it gets and then connects to a different IP address where someone is playing man in the middle, for example, and does whatever. I'm not sure yet. I'm just like theorizing about the use cases. Okay, I've created this, and now
you need to.
I need to observe again.
Yeah.
Did I download this over here? Yes. Tetra, no. I think I was in there, right?
Yeah.
Potentially should be copying this to user local bin, but I'm not sure about this. I'm more a fan of like managed package installations.
We can also make a homebrew formula right now.
Yeah, potentially we can totally do that. Niklaus, it's your turn.
No, I created too many formulas in the past that I need to.
Yeah, I think we can. The thing we can do is open a feature request for doing so.
Yeah. I guess some people are faster than mostly.
No, if you do it now, just have the problem that
it could be that someone is watching the live stream and now starting before me.
The problem is there is no live stream.
This is the recording.
Okay.
So you have a little bit of time to be faster.
Okay, yeah, I kind of broke everything. That's the problem when you're just trying to copy paste something from a markdown file, which is rendered, and it just copies everything else. It's amazing. I want to execute this one. And yes.
Now you need to have a second terminal and
I need to do something. Yeah, it's let's open another terminal. It's getting late today. Hello.
well, that would triggering me mostly. But my terminal needs 2 seconds or 3 seconds to start.
Yeah, there are some like path detection things in the background. I need to fix that. I made it faster with switching to the current one. I think this is a spaceship. No, it's a power level 10K is which allows you to do things faster.
I would recommend to disable the Kubernetes discovery.
Okay. Yeah, in the past I disabled the Google Cloud and some other detection mechanisms with Node and so on, because this was really slow. The only problem is we're not looking at the right one now. This didn't
No, we
work
need to
yet.
look into the thing that we saw on the left. On the left, it should be showing us something.
Yeah, actually on this one.
Yeah, there you would see all events. Okay, yeah. But on the left is the filter.
Is it really the pod X thing, which I'm currently looking at? Yeah.
Can you check?
Touch temp foo? No. Namespace default? No, okay.
Did we deploy the YAML, the rule?
I've deployed this one.
Can we check for it? Can you open it and how the file is stored, the type, so that we check the sector? Check for kubectl get tracing policy.
No. 4 minutes. It's already there. What happens if I? Oh no! If I do that, I will get everything again, right? Yeah.
Okay, this could be probably also a platform problem. I don't remember how
maybe
Civo is working so that you don't get into the probe, into the core.
Process F probe. And maybe it's not allowed. Only for etc. Okay, interesting. Interesting. Yeah.
Click a little bit on top and on the process kprobe event. Okay, then we would see the raw event. Okay.
Yeah, since I'm using a Kubernetes platform which is not officially listed in the docs, I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe
it
there
could
is
be
like a safeguard or something in place. In the end, let's try to figure it out later. What else can we do?
networking.
Networking. Okay. This is
TCP connect.
Thanks. I want to have copy paste examples. And kubectl. Hello. Ah, nice. Look, mom, who's falling home? Interesting.
Okay, these are a lot of events.
This is quite interesting in the sense of which application is phoning home and telling the SaaS platform or something else that I'm here.
Yeah.
Kind of solves the problem of not having a network monitoring software at some point, at least for like figuring out what's going on.
Okay, there would I say we had it already in our cloud platform. Mostly the cloud provider is providing this for us. So in AWS, you can use VPC flow logs to see that.
Okay, that's a good point. I was more like thinking of my own hosted instance or setup environment.
And when you use Cilium, you have this also directly.
Okay.
So you have the Hubble UI for that.
And this is kind of this is complementing Hubble somehow, maybe.
Yeah, so Hubble is like the storage of the eBPF events. And then you can say, okay, you want to filter for different types.
And the thing is, Hubble is, as far as I've understood, like read only. You are collecting the data and then you do something else with another system. And as far as I understood Tetragon, you can enforce the policies directly. So if I find a way to block certain traffic now, I could just apply that. So like observing and enforcing.
Yeah, but this can you do also on Cilium.
Okay.
Because you can use Kubernetes network policies for that to say, okay, I want to block this communication, or all pods are not allowed to communicate out of a namespace. The cool thing about Cilium is that you can also say layer 7. Mostly network policies are only layer 3, layer 4. So TCP, UDP.
That's true.
And you can say with Cilium, you can say, okay, I want to block that the application cannot go to /HTTP. So for example, we did a cool test with the potato head. And we said, okay, we want to block the left arm or the right arm to see how the blocking is working. Because the potato head is like a multi-tier deployment, you can easily check then what's going on there.
Yeah, I know when you're like forcing certain pods to shut down, and you can see how it behaves.
Yeah, or you don't allow the network connection. So the pod is still running, but the network connection is not, because on potato head, everything is going to one router mostly. It's called for entry.
Yeah, one thing I did was I think I was using pod monitor, the black box probe thing. For some reason, recording my entire screen and doing demos is a little slow today. On my MacBook is like, it's pretty hot. I think somewhere over here in the slides is the potato head demo. Just looking for it. Here? No. This was alerts. No. Not finding my own exercises is funny. The Prometheus. Customize. No, this was JSONnet. Okay. There are the examples for deploying it. And the thing I did back then was to specify the probe and then alerting on the probe. And it worked pretty nicely with deploying the potato head thing.
Yeah.
But going back to this one, privilege execution is also there. I have no idea what BTF is.
This is the module that they use for the BPF filter. Your kernel needs to support it. Otherwise, you cannot use eBPF.
Okay. Yeah,
And I mean, like this could be a problem that we don't see right now, the other events, not the networking, the file system events. So that is in some way hidden from us in this type of cloud provider.
Yeah, potentially need to like ask Sivo. Oh, by the way, I didn't post a picture yet, but I got some swag from Sivo. Praise the demo gods.
Oh, nice.
So Kunal was so nice to send it over to me. And hopefully my next talks will be in person with some demos again. Okay, now I'm stopping this one. But this looks pretty nice. And it also got plenty of documentation and already some stars. What other things, just coming back to the original topic, what other things did we learn or did I learn? I'm just finding the wrong tab. I think ArcticDB from Polar Signals was announced before KubeCon. Was also quite interesting. The most exciting one, and this is something I need to try out myself, was that metrics support was announced GA for metrics for in OpenTelemetry that way. And they also published a deep dive on the CNCF blog, what it's like and how to instrument applications. And yeah, it's potentially needs some different ways to what Prometheus and metrics provides. I didn't have the time yet to read it, but it was one of the huge topics being discussed and announced. And during the observability tag community meeting, so that's like the name for the previous 6 and working groups, they voted for the next event type next to something like network monitoring. It will become or should become profiling. So like when you're collecting profiles from Polar Signals Parker or Pyroscope, you can or you should be able to treat it as a way that the OpenTelemetry collector or sidecars can process that data. And the other exciting thing is that Jaeger Tracing announced that it now accepts directly the OpenTelemetry protocol data, which means you don't need to run the collector in front of Jaeger as a backend. You can just fire the tracing into Jaeger again using the OpenTelemetry HTTP or gRPC protocol, which is really nice, especially when you are starting the first time with instrumenting applications with OpenTelemetry. There are many components to understand: the collector, the backends, and many other things. And this kind of reduces the complexity for getting started. Because when I started looking into adding OpenTelemetry into GitLab CI/CD, into the server and the runner code, I was a little overwhelmed by the different components and what else is needed. But yeah. The other things I didn't really read yet or checked out yet was everything targeting supply chain security and SBOMs and chain guard and whatnot. I think this is like an emerging topic as well, next to what has been discussed at the SecurityCon, which was also a 0-day event for 2 days, the WebAssembly Day, which I haven't watched yet, and also the GitOpsCon talk, 0-day event, where many interesting new topics have been discussed. I think like there were a lot of some talks targeting like the future is platform engineering and everything else. And last but not least, I was thinking of not marketing, but I found it quite interesting how Victor summarized certain learnings next to like platforms and GitOps. But there's also work underway for secrets management, which includes the discussion around the job token for CI and using it for OIDC and things like which we discussed last month with Carlos around SIG-Store and signing images. Yeah, to a certain extent, there's much more in the blog post. Yeah, and the thing is, I was pretty like, I learned a lot. I didn't really attend the talks. I met more people and made connections. But in the end, everything is like online available. You can watch the recordings. There are certain resources to read and learn and to try out. I'm happy that we tried out Tetragon today because this was kind of a plan as well. And let's stop sharing so that we can see each other actually. No, I think one of the most interesting goals will be to see how OpenTelemetry gets adopted by both developers, DevOps engineers, everyone else, in a way of having something unified for metrics, logs, traces, profiling, whatever data type might be out there, and to also combine it between vendors. So when you want to write the data to Splunk or Datadog or AWS, everyone has their own like distribution, and the distribution in OpenTelemetry is just the base binaries or the base things enriched with plugins and metadata. And I think it will be interesting to see how fast the adoption is going on. So there is like every time or every week you see a new blog post popping up, or 10 of them. So it's really a great learning opportunity, as well as like making your life easier as well with open source toolings in that regard, open source tools and platforms. Now I've talked a lot. Thoughts, questions, final words?
No, I think now finally the in-person events are happening again, slowly. So it was your first in-person event after COVID, right?
Yeah, it was kind of, and I'm not saying like COVID is over now, but it was kind of an experiment for myself as well. If travel works out and if it's like, it makes sense to be with 7,500 folks in a big location. But yeah, I found it really refreshing, even though with a mask, you can still see people smile and feel engaged. It was really nice. And every time I thought about, hey, I should be attending this session somewhere on the venue, someone else came by and said, hey, can we talk about GitLab and Kubernetes and things like that? Or even asking me about my talk. And so I kind of practiced my key messaging as well. And yeah, time was going fast, especially because the GitLab team hasn't met before as well. So we made it a team offsite somehow and had team dinner. And we also needed to adjust to Spain with dinner times, which is like 8, 9, 10, 11 p.m., something like that. Sometimes the main dish came at 11 p.m., which was kind of unusual compared to Germany, where you have like 6 p.m., 7 p.m. sometimes. But when you're like jumping right in, at some point you don't care anymore. So since my talk was on Friday, I needed to force myself going to bed on Thursday evening. But yeah, I'm looking forward to like traveling more and trying things slowly with Berlin in 2 weeks' time, and I will also be joining Container Days in Hamburg at the beginning of September with one talk. In between, we might be visiting the US with the GitLab Contribute. And what else is planned? Open Source Summit in Dublin happens in September. KubeCon North America is in Detroit in October. And I'm still waiting for continuous lifecycle in Mannheim for the CFP results. And in between, I don't know, we might be doing an Everyone Can Contribute Cafe meetup in person at some point, maybe meeting in the middle in Rosenheim.
I think that's not the middle.
Yeah, it's kind of the middle, probably like Stuttgart or Karlsruhe is more in the middle.
Constance is quite cool.
Which one?
Constance.
I haven't been there. I have no idea where this is on the map.
It's near the border to the Swiss, and it's still Germany, and all the Swiss people are flying over. But it's quite easy for me to get there. So because I can fly to Zurich, and then taking the train back to Germany because it's faster instead of taking the German rail. Directly, yeah.
Yeah, potentially, like when Michael is heading towards us, he's traveling to Vienna first and then taking the flight to somewhere else, but it's not like efficient in a way of like thinking economy. Potentially, therefore, we should be meeting at a spot where trains are connecting, which is either Vienna to Berlin, Frankfurt, somewhere they're routing, maybe Frankfurt. I only know Frankfurt as a business city, but actually it has a nice old city. Maybe we should try that, or we just go to Berlin.
Oh, Berlin is also 5 hours. Then Hamburg. Hamburg is a little bit cooler. Berlin not too many
Hamburg is nice as well, and if we can also meet in Vienna or Nuremberg at some point. But Salzburg from Salzburg Rosenheim is like, I think, half an hour or 1 hour, something.
Salzburg is also cool. There was already. And for me, I think I can fly there. I hope so.
Can fly to Munich and then travel by train.
Now, this is like ecology really shit. Okay, flying to Salzburg is also not cool.
Oh, and now I need to cut the recording. You said the F word.
Bye-bye.
No, don't say any F words. So it's not S words.
It's marked. The recording will be marked as not for children anyways. So no. One thing which was quite interesting to read was the MongoDB queryable encryption blog post, which I also linked in my newsletter. I think the potential in summer to learn technology is huge. The thing is, you shouldn't be sitting in front of your computer when the time's allowed to go out or take a vacation. And I thought of traveling somewhere or flying somewhere, and then I was like, yeah, maybe I stay in the area. And then I was looking at the Austrian Alps on Google Maps and figured some spots, which I will not spoil now. But I will be staying there for 1 week and just taking time off.
Oh, nice.
By the end of July. So we will have our next meetup on July the 12th, I think. I have no idea what we will be talking about. I called it summer theme. Maybe we just add some nice backgrounds.
We're doing HashiCorp boundary to cross the boundaries.
By the way, I was talking to Frederick from Polar Signals around doing a project update. Still haven't get in touch yet. And also with Andy Grabner from the Captain Project, because we also talked about the latest things at KubeCon and features and ideas. And it also was announced to be incubating now as a CNCF project, which was really nice to see. And I think I talked with so many other folks who were also interested in joining us and sharing the projects and ideas. But I will be catching up async on the specific things. And sometimes it also needs some spontaneous, hey, we're just talking about what we learned at event XYZ, which is also quite nice. And to everyone who's watching the recording async now, you were gladly missed. Next time, I want to see you on the Everyone Can Contribute Cafe meetup again.
Okay.
Yeah, so thanks for joining. Is there anything else you would like to say? No?
No.
I would just say keep on learning, and if there is anything else we can help you with, join either the live sessions next time or the live meetup next time, or tag us on Twitter or join Discord. Yeah, and hopefully we will see each other in person soon again, or for the first time. With that, thanks for joining in and see you next time. Bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.